This is FanSpeak, a weekly live show where the fans of comics and its community are our guests. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show today. This is Chester C. Busby III, and we are going to be talking about comic books. And we got a couple of Indigo comic creators up here with us right now, and this is going to be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and say hello to everybody. Everybody feeling good today? I know I am. I got a cup of coffee and sitting here with a bunch of friends, so I'm certainly happy. Does anybody have any colds or any kind of bad things going on? I know Denali was saying he was blaming me for something, or was that DeWolf? Nevertheless,
no, you're getting your co-hosts mixed up just because we all look alike.
I know you do. Well, you do. Absolutely. But we want to jump right into it today. But just to remind you that we have all our links down below, of course. We'd love for you to go over and join FanSpeak on Facebook and be part of what we're building over there in that community. Feel free to go over there and give your reviews, share your art, get involved. Also, you'll see you have my contacts there for Chester C. Busby III on Facebook, as well as my Twitter. Make sure you go over there and say, Chester, put me on the show, because the whole point of this show is to have fans as our guests. And we also bring pros on today, as we have. Also, we have our other links down below for our podcasts, which are on Anchor. And if, of course, being on Anchor, it goes out to all the other podcasts that are available. So if podcasts are your thing, we have got you covered. Also, keep in mind that we do have our donation button down for Streamlabs, as well as a new PayPal link that has been put in there. And if you want to help us with giveaways and the various things we do with those, please get involved in that. And of course, hitting that like button and subscribing is certainly useful, and we appreciate everyone who does that. But the main thing you can do to help us out is to hit that share button and let all your friends and family know what's going on and get them over here and so they can enjoy the show. All right, guys, we're going to jump right into it today. And of course, we start out every FanSpeak with the chairman. Please, sir, take it away.
Thank you so much, Chester. It is said by Martin Luther King Jr. that the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Nothing worthwhile is easy, and your ability to overcome unfavorable situations will provide you with time to demonstrate your true strength and determination for success. We see that daily with our armed services. And we want to start off first and foremost by saying that we salute you, all of our armed services in the past and in the present, for everything you do, because you stand right there in amidst some of the worst problems that can befall man and mankind. And your measure shows through that. We also see that on a more personal level through comic books and the comic book industry today. There's been a tumultuous year for DC, Marvel, and across the spectrum with Alterna and even Valiant, and those that have come together under various independent organizations such as Comicsgate. And across that vast landscape of comics, we see various people doing what they can, moving forward, and showing the measure of who they are in various degrees. We continue to watch, support, and speak about what is happening in the community and how that affects all of us, and we are often speaking on the best things and the most positive ways to move forward to have a robust comic industry in the future. And that is what I'm saying. What are the fans saying? Welcome to FanSpeak.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chairman. Very good sentiments there. And of course, that's what we do over here. We support comics and we support this indie revival that has been going on. And with that, of course, we have two guests with us today. We have, we're going to start it here with Jon Malin, the man himself and the Mr. Taco Bell himself. How you doing, Jon Malin?
I'm doing great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. And what we're going to do here is we're going to switch over to our browser and we're going to take a look at your Indiegogo that you have going on in process here, which, of course, is Graveyard Shift. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and let everybody know what's going on with that?
Oh, yeah. So Graveyard Shift is the concept is it's the Universal monsters if they were the X-Men. So it's scientists are murdered and thrown into their own experiments. and they're giving supernatural abilities. So they're based around regeneration, but they're essentially stand-ins for the Universal monsters. So our main leader is a stand-in for Dracula. Our big strong guy is essentially Frankenstein's monster, and the girl in my avatar with the bullet holes in her head, she's essentially the bride of Frankenstein. So they're scientists. They don't have martial arts abilities. They didn't gain any, MMA skills. So basically, just like the Living Dead, you can shoot them all you want. They'll just keep coming at you until you're dead. So yeah, and it was a very successful campaign. So we just wrapped it up at 106 something.
106,
And
96. Yeah, that's right. Really good money you made there. You must be really, really excited about that.
Very happy. And just to give credit, this is co-created with the writer Mark Polton, so I don't want to leave him out. But yeah, so pretty happy with the project. It did very well, and it's another step up for the Comics Gate community.
Absolutely, man. And of course, a lot of us know you from Jawbreakers with Richard Meyer. That's where I was first introduced to you. And of course, that brings me to the question I asked everybody else that comes in here. And of course, I'm going to let the other guys chat with you as well here. But my question is always the same, John. What brought you to this community? How did you get here?
I got here through a process when I was working at Marvel of dealing with my own internal conflicts with editorial about restrictions that were being placed down on me, which were oddly political, such as not being able to let a white person have dreadlocks. I thought these things were ridiculous. And there were more things along the lines of that. But anyways, when I had finished my run with Cable, after more editorial interference, I went and I was going to start doing Jawbreakers again, and just finishing this project up, and see where the road went from there. And basically, when I started going on here, Richard C. Meyer contacted me and asked me if I was interested in doing a process and or a project with him. And so I weighed the pros and the cons. Long story short, and we did it, and it was very successful. So that project raised about $400,000.
Yes, it was extremely successful, and I think everyone here bought it. I know I did. Waiting for it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the stuff that you've done, John. You actually are another person who really tries to build up the community as much as possible, and we appreciate that because that's what we're doing over here too. We're all about building up the community, and we hope to work with you more in the future with that. But let me get to the other panelists that are sitting here, and of course, I want to start with Pope Fire because I know Pope Fire is a big fan of yours, John. So. Pope Fire, what do you want to say here?
She's in here.
Yeah, she is.
Hi, John.
Hey, Pope Fire.
How are you?
Good. I'd be doing better if Pope Raven was in here.
Pope Raven doesn't show up
there it
on
goes.
stream.
It starts.
Shots fired.
Kick him.
No, I do want to clarify. I actually really, really respect you and I like you. I just like to mess around people with the Starfire thing. I'm sorry if it upset you.
No, not at all. I understand. It's all fun and games. I don't take any of it personally.
Kick him.
No,
I don't care. Jon Malin.
Well, we already know who your favorite Teen Titan is, as disappointing as the answer was. But why is Raven your favorite Titan?
My favorite Titan is Robin. Malin Militia endorses endorses Raven as best Titan. So that is that is separate from me. Robin is definitely best Titan.
Which Robin?
Dick Grayson.
Oh, there you go.
My
See,
man.
that's the right choice.
I gotta say something. This John guy, he's got a good head on his shoulders.
He does. And it's got bullet holes in it for some reason. Sweet. All right. Why don't you go ahead and Denali, you got a question here for John?
Well, first of all, congratulations on 2 projects making 6 figures. So
Yes.
so far, you're the only one in the current
Congrats.
group of creators and indie goers that have 2 projects with 6 figures. So you can always show that in front of Mike on Drawn and Quarter. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
what is since your campaign is closed and you're pretty much done with the campaigning, what do you see the fulfillment time? You know, getting this off to printers and having these books at our hands. You know, what's your expectation of when?
The estimated ship date was put as February of 2019, and my goal has always been to try to get it to everyone by Christmas. We are looking to go to print this week, hopefully. We have one final pass on the print final print file, and then the main book will be going, and everything else will be printed domestically. So it'll have like a 2-week turnaround. But Mark and I are looking at getting. I'll have to get out to New Jersey, probably the first week of December, and then we're gonna hire some people to come out and start boxing up with us. And hopefully by Christmas everyone gets it. But I definitely don't see it being any later than January. But the goal was always to beat the actual estimated delivery time.
Oh, that's cool. Now I know. Speaking of boxing stuff up and distribution, now we have Thundaro on here with us, and Thundaro has had a lot of interesting ideas regarding distribution, and in particular, maybe using people from the community to help you out. I mean, you might be able to get some volunteers for that instead of having to pay someone to do that. But let me let Thundaro handle that. Go ahead, Thundaro.
Yeah. Hey, John. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
I think that there is this community is pretty big, and I think there's a lot of people who, especially in places overseas, that could help with distribution at a local level. It's a pretty big idea. It would take a long time to explain it, and I know we're short for time tonight, so I won't go too deep into it. But I think it's something we should consider. Is get the community more involved with all of it, with the whole process from front end to back end. I think there's a lot of people who would be interested in that. But I did have questions for you.
I haven't put too much. Yeah, I haven't put too much thought into it, but yeah, I could definitely see. Even like when right now our plan is to hire up a few extra hands, but I'd much rather put that money into the hands of community members, as I did with Nerd.
Yeah. Okay. Now for my actual question. I have actually two. One, I would like you to talk about how people can get, because I've heard you put out basically an open invitation for people to try and get on your show that you do. I'd like you to talk about that if you would. I guess not a question, just a request. About how people can do that, because I have actually some people who've messaged me that want to do it, and I've told them, what to do. But if they're listening, maybe they can hear it from you.
Yeah, I have a platform that I use exclusively for comic skaters, and it's called Comic Skate Presents, where I'll bring people on, let them talk about Indiegogos or, help in promotion before their Indiegogo goes live. But yeah, if you are Comic Skate and, you're willing to get in here and take the heat, then I'm more than happy to put people on my show to promote their projects. And hopefully that'll help get more attention onto your projects through other people within Comic Skate community.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Oh, and all you have to do is you go onto Twitter, you contact me by adding me, and link in some pictures of your work. I may not get to you the first time, but be patient with me. Trust me, I have a lot of things that I go through, and eventually you will get a hold of me. Just be patient, be kind, and I don't think anyone's had to go, and no one's ever had to gone, to my knowledge, that has been persistent more than 3 weeks to get on my show. So just be persistent, patient, and kind, and at me on Twitter. And eventually I will see you, and then I will follow you, and then we can discuss a time to get on there. But it's really simple.
Fantastic. And I thank you for doing that. I think that's a really much needed thing in our community here. Speaking of our community here, I'm not going to get too much into it because I want to put it behind everybody. But I have to ask this question. I think you pretty much already answered it. Are you still Comic Skate?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone's Comic Skate, as long as you're involved in the premise that, the customer matters, the content of the book should be good, and that you don't want to flip a middle finger to your reading audience. So, you want to deliver good product, enjoyable product that can be enjoyed by the most amount of people possible. So, I was on a stream recently where, someone said something that people would eventually move on. And, it looks like people are actually moving on. But, again, as long as you are taking a stand for, these kind of Comicsgate principles, I think everyone's still Comicsgate. There's not a tattoo, there's not a membership card. So,
don't give people ideas. They'll be getting tattoos.
I think Booster's already got 2 tattoos, to be honest with you.
I've got like a little CG tramp stamp going on here. I can't.
There you go. There you go.
I'll let all the boys, let them know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, thank you very much, Nandara. Speaking of that, John, I do apologize ahead of time, but we do have our resident Kiwi pie expert here named Booster, and Booster certainly has a question for you. And like I said, I do apologize. Go ahead, Booster.
No, okay.
How dare you? My question is going to be very tame and very insightful, I'd imagine. So my question is about our absolute madman himself, Dickie Mayer, your boy Zach. How did you meet this eccentric weirdo? What got you to do a project with him?
He reached out to me. I was aware of him. I still don't know if I had any contact with him. I think at one point Doug Ernst might have actually said, you should maybe think about doing a project with Richard Meyer. And the idea battered around my head, but I think within a month or so after that initial just kind of off the cuff statement, Richard contacted me and asked if I wanted to be a part of that. To the best of my knowledge, he discovered at some point my cable work, yep. And knew that I was, dealing with my own issues, with the comics industry.
So when you were working at Marvel doing cable, were you aware of him at the time?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. I was aware of everything going on at the time, but like I said, I was dealing with my own issues when I walked in the door because I was working there during the election time. And, again, not to get too into all the drama, but, my editor was the one who said, make no mistake, if you vote for Trump, we're going to remember who you are. So that was my own experience when I was working for Marvel.
And you can give that drop if you like. I like a bit of juicy details over here.
They are absolutely going to remember us.
Yeah.
So I was knee deep in a very real way of what was going on, and I was paying attention to what other editors were saying at the time on their social media, and I was definitely aware that there was a large bias going through these companies, Marvel specifically. So.
Well, I certainly hope you're happy on this side of the aisle than you were over there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Oh my
I know
goodness.
that. It's lots of love for you, John.
A little bit of love.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
I'm just
So
trying to
go ahead, DeWolf.
wrap around the idea of my employer telling me whom I can't vote for, or if I did vote for a specific someone, that I would have to be leaving my job. In America, that I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah. Again, not to get too much into drama, but I'm a moderate. I voted for Obama, but I have friends, I have family that are voting for Trump, and I understand that what she said, this editor, was 100% wrong. The company should have contacted, from my point of view, all the freelancers and made an immediate statement saying, your political beliefs are not going to be a determining factor of whether or not you're going to be working for this company. So everyone, please feel at ease. And that email never came. There was no public address. There was no private address to it. And when I did talk to a higher up editor regarding this situation much further down the road, he said that I was punching down, even though this female editor was in a position of power over me.
Wow.
No, that's correct.
Yeah. Well, now,
Right.
now, John, we do have a couple of your fellow artists here today, and I thought it'd be interesting to see the kind of questions they might have for you. Let's go ahead and start with Tank Man. What question you got for John Malin here?
I really don't have any questions. I love Comicsgate Presents, though. I try to get as many aspiring creators to go watch that because there are lessons over there, and I like lessons.
Cool.
Oh, well,
Cool.
thanks.
And
Appreciate it.
how about you, Todd?
Yeah, John. I'm always about the team. So I noticed through looking through the pages on Indicron that you have a great synergy with your colors. You want to tell us a little bit about your colors, how you found them, how you picked them?
Oh, for Graveyard Shift, I assume.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I've been lucky, I guess. I did not pick Brett R. Smith for Jawbreakers, and he ended up being a really fantastic colorist. So all credit to Richard. With Graveyard Shift, this is a colorist that myself, Mark Polton, the colorist, whose name is Anthony George, but he goes by Z. We are all from, I do believe, the Rob Liefeld forums, and we're all fans, and we're all in that same kind of sphere of, what we liked in terms of, coloring styles over, this type of, kind of bombastic, people compare my art style, which I find a little more odd, but, they compare me to Rob a lot. And, but the coloring style is from that same era, that same area of comicdom, of fandom. So that's Anthony George, aka Z, and real talent. And we're going to be doing more work with them.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Now, of course, we also have another creator on here with you, John. He's the creator and writer of Agenda. So, James, you have any questions or comments you want to make to John here? Maybe John might be able to get you on his show to talk about your project sometime.
Yeah, John, hi. We've been on a few streams together, and I just sent you a tweet saying I'd love to be on your show.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
That'd be great. Yeah, I like your art. I like what I've seen of your comic, and unfortunately, I didn't donate to it because I came into it too late. Until I found out about it late, but it definitely, I'm glad.
Not a requirement. Not a requirement to be on my channel at all, James. Don't worry about it. I'll look for your tweet, and we'll schedule something for sure. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Yeah. I don't really have a lot of questions. I do think that from what I see, it looks really good.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, excellent. Now, John, of course, we looked at your Graveyard Shift, and we talked a little bit about Jawbreakers, but of course, Graveyard Shift is finished, and you got working on getting that printing done. So, what's the next project, man?
The next project I'm going to wait to announce. Right now, all I'm going to say is top secret, and but I will be putting in, good, probably 3 months advance notice once I can see where the actual launch date is going to be at. But this is something that I am beginning to work on right now.
No, that's cool.
You can't give us any juicy details, so we can be like, you heard it there, folks. Nothing.
Oh, there's nothing juicy to give yet. So
no, that's all right.
Yeah,
but definitely come back and tell us when. I know, Booster. I know you love those secrets, man. But definitely come back and talk to us when you do have that other project going on.
Absolutely, guys.
Yeah, cool. Now I know DeWolf has probably got a couple of questions for you as well, so let's go over there. I know your time is tight, John, but go ahead and go over to DeWolf.
Hey there, John.
How's it going?
We have a lot of things that we talk about with the artists, the creators, and the writers, and all that stuff. But it's a great, big, broader community. And so my twist on the questioning today is, what do you see, besides being the holders of money and backing the creators, what do you see as the role of the fans within the community?
Whatever you feel like you want to be a part of this community. If a fan wants to be a creator, be a creator. If a fan wants to be a YouTuber, be a YouTuber. If a fan, works 40 hours a week and just wants to enjoy content, be it the YouTube channels or whatever we're discussing, more power to them. No one needs to have necessarily a role, especially a fan. But if they want to, I like to see as many people as possible that have channels to help these people achieve whatever it is they'd like to achieve within the community.
Yeah, I like that. I like that last part you said, and that is having another channel that points back to the creators. Because It's kind of what we've done at FanSpeak. We always talk about that, but there are specific other channels of people out there that create something and they get behind, a particular creator. And it's nice to see creators and the fans joining together. And once again, in a bigger community that I don't think you've seen that in comics before. And we're not even through a full, good, strong year of development here. Do you have plans, or do you see things developing into the next year of how this comics renaissance and revival might turn into from your viewpoint?
I have no immediate plans other than do what I'm doing right now, and to have Graveyard Shift wrapped sometime into next year. It's something that can continue on, but after I finish the second Graveyard Shift book, then I will be trying to do a project that is going to be 100% me, writing and drawing, and someone else coloring, etc. But I want to put out my one project that is me from top to bottom in terms of story and art, and basically something that I would call my masterpiece type project. And right now, the only solid detail I know that kind of the direction I want to go with is it's essentially going to be something like Thundar the Barbarian.
Oh, goodness.
Where I can use
Oh, I love you,
where I
John.
can use sword and sorcery, black
I love
magic,
you.
black science. Yeah.
Can you please base Ookla off of me? I need to be the Ookla.
Yes, yes, we need Pope Ookla.
Yes,
Hashtag Pope Ookla.
Hashtag Pope Ookla.
No
Don't you dare.
No more popes.
No more popes.
No
Now,
more popes,
John,
please.
we do have a question here from the chat from Pixel Trader. He says, "What is John's favorite comic skate site, and why is it Indiecron?"
It's definitely Indiecron, and the good thing is you can see all the other campaigns that are rolling. But when I was closing out Graveyard Shift, I used Indiecron because they had a countdown timer on there because I could never find it on my own Indiegogo. So I was like, well, I'll use the Indiecron site. So yeah, the timer on there is great. It lets you know where everybody's closing at. Mike Miller should be closing below me. We'll see how long he prolongs his campaign. But no, Indiecron is definitely a great resource for everybody if you're trying to launch an Indiegogo campaign. Talk to Pixel Trader and get yourself listed. And hey, you get to watch yourself go up the rankings, and that in itself can be exciting for fans if they're paying attention. Be like, oh look, we just got up on another one. So yeah, definitely check it out, guys.
Oh, awesome.
So kind of like a scoreboard.
Yeah.
Speaking.
And one thing we are going to be looking on this panel is how well you draw your feet.
Yes,
John, because we see it artistically hidden, but we do notice that.
Yes. It's another Liefeldism.
It is. It comes from Liefeld. Yeah. Yeah. You had something to say, Pope?
Yeah, I gotta head out, but everybody go check out Comic Stein's fundraiser. We're still giving out books. We are not doing the raffle anymore, but we do have some stuff RT Bear sent us that we will raffle off hopefully in 2 weeks. So just keep checking us out. If you guys do need books, we're still able to help. See all you guys later.
All right, thanks, Pope.
All right,
We'll talk to you later. All right, John, I know your time is really, really tight, and I thank you a lot for coming on here and joining us. That was a lot of fun. And just keep in mind that what we're doing over here is we're trying to build the community. So anything you could do to help us and interact with us would be much appreciated.
Give me a holler in another couple weeks, and I'll be a little bit more prepared for your guys' format and stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely come back on if you'll have me. So.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me on, John. I really appreciate it last weekend.
Oh,
hopefully I can get on again. We can do sort of an interview kind of thing. That'd be great.
Yeah. The Ignition looks great too. So I don't think that's launched, but definitely get a hold of me beforehand. And but if you guys haven't seen the artwork in that book, it's pretty freaking killer.
It
for
is
sure.
very killer. Yeah, it is.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all very much for having me, and I will be seeing you all later.
All right. Thanks, John. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
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 All right. Well, that was great having John on, and I'm glad we could get him on here real quick. Thank you all for
Glad he's gone.
coming.
I never loved him.
Oh, thanks, Booster. Always talking about people when they're gone. But thank you over here for being patient, chat. We see you're making a bunch of comments, and we do appreciate that. You guys are having fun in the chat as always. But we want to jump right into what and continue what we're doing because we have another guest here, and that is Mr. James Hudnall. How you doing today, sir?
Really good. Thank you.
All right. Well, we want to do the same thing we just did with John with you, but we want to ask you. I want to ask you my first question, the same question I ask everybody. What brought you to this community, sir?
Well, I'll tell you, I was watching Richard Meyer's videos before he became famous or infamous in the industry. I liked what he was doing. I agreed with a lot of his opinions. He's just a guy who paid for his comics, and he has he's reviewed them. That's there's nothing wrong with that to review books and say what you think of them, especially if you're expected to pay like $4 or $5 a piece for them. So I think he had a legitimate point of, if he didn't like something, he was very honest about it. But at the same time, if he liked something, he was honest about it. And so I followed his thing, and then I was amazed by all this craziness that was happening in the industry regarding him, and just in general, the kind of push of peace, political correctness, which is something I've always been against personally, because I find it a form of censorship. But I'll tell you, I came into this, I've been in this business since '86, and I've just seen it change a lot in the last few years, especially with this politicization of comics, especially on the Marvel side. And so anyway, as far as how I came into this, I started a website early this year called The Freedom Forge, with a bunch of creators with the same goals that you have, which is a hub for creators to express themselves freely outside of the corporate constructs of the industry. And anyway, because I have to work a day job, I wasn't able to put as much energy into it as I would like, but it's still there. Anyway, other people have sort of taken up the call as well, and I think that's a good thing. The more of us there are that are fighting for freedom of speech and good comics, the better, because this industry will die if it's continued to go in the path that it was going, because people do not want to be preached at. They want to be entertained. And, people like myself and others just want to entertain people and do good work. And, there was a time when people were excited about comics, and they were excited about the future of comics, and they wanted to see it grow and everything. And what's happened is people that really don't care about comics and were just interested in pushing their politics into it, they have just sort of stagnated the business. And this thing, like they call Comicscape, but as you say, it should be called something else. It's where people are sort of pushing back against that idea, and we're doing these artisanal comics that are going to, I think, revolutionize the business, and it's already happening. And this is a perfect example, because you're starting small, but you're growing, and so is everything else. I think that it's a good thing. But anyway, my comic is called Agenda.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I've been working on for about 3 years, and it's something that I've kind of wanted to do for a while, which is a superhero book set in the real world, but with the standpoint of, what if there was never any superheroes? It's the real world, so there's no superheroes, but all of a sudden 6 people appear that have the ability to change things with powers. And what would actually happen? I mean, like, if you were suddenly given superpowers, and for some reason, let's say you decided you wanted to use them to do something to make the world a better place. You're a human being, and you have flaws, and your personal viewpoint is not going to appeal to some people. So if you went out and tried to do something, what would be the repercussions of that? So this is about a bunch of people with different powers, different agendas, and that's where the title comes from. They are all trying to change the world, and how does that affect the world? And the mystery of the story is, how did these people get these powers, and how does this all work? What's the point. I mean, there's more to it than just the overall story that I just laid out. You can find it out more about it on the video. There's 2 videos on the Indiegogo page. This is an Indiegogo project. It's been around for 2 weeks now. We've made over 60% of our goal. We're trying to get, to the 100%, and I'm trying to get over 5,000 tonight. Would be nice. So if anyone could give us like $21, that'll get us over the mark. But more than that, it's obviously appreciated. But we are. It's myself, James Hudnall, and Matt Cousin, who is a newer talent. We're all from the San Diego area, and his brother Mikey Cousin is coloring in. He's fantastic. So Matt is a really great artist. Mikey's really good. And we're all in this with a lot of passion and desire to do really good comics. It's going to be 48 pages quarterly. That's our goal. This will be the first issue, and we're trying to give people a bang for their buck, what they're not used to right now, I think, in general from comics. But we're trying to bring something that every page feels like a treasure. That's the kind of comics I remember growing up, because I grew up in the age of Jack Kirby and all that stuff. And, every single page was exciting and fun. And that's what I'm trying to do, is bring that back.
Well, we're looking at your page right now. I've been showing while you speak. And yeah, it's a good looking page. A lot of good information here. You got plenty of videos, you got plenty of pictures, you have plenty of things for people to see. So, of course, Todd, go ahead, Mister.
I was going to say, other Indiegogo projects, take note. That's how you do it. We've been talking about that for a while.
We have been. That's true. Now, of course, Todd had brought you over here to talk to us, and I appreciate that, Todd. And we're very happy to have you here, James. So, Todd, why don't you go ahead and you got some questions for James about this project, some other projects, or anything in general?
Well, just to give him a little bit of an intro, he's had a illustrious career in comics. Even won some awards back when the indies really first started. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Espers, which may or may not become a movie or a television show, or there's some things in the works the last time we talked. I'm just wondering if you can give us a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. First, I want to pimp Todd because he did the cover of my book, The Secrets of Writing, which is available on Amazon. And he did a fantastic job. And I just think people should take a look at it because he did a great job. But anyway, yeah, I started the business at Eclipse Comics, which no longer exists, but they were a large indie publisher in the 80s. And I was working for the reason I got into comics I was a computer programmer and I wanted to do comics, but I didn't know anything. Originally, I wanted to get in the early 80s, like 81, but I was kind of overwhelmed by all the details of learning how the business works. So I went to work for Eclipse one day a week as their marketing director, and I learned the business from the inside. And also, I was able to look through the Rolodex and get the names and addresses of artists and phone numbers. So I pitched the idea for Espers, which is about a team of psychic people, and set in a real world environment, and they all have enhanced psychic abilities, and they're fighting a global conspiracy. And it's a series that's run for over 20 years on and off. It's been part at Image and it's been at Marvel. It's probably my longest running series. I hope to do more of it soon, but anyway, so I started in at Eclipse. I went to Marvel in DC briefly for a couple years. I did get experience working there, but I've been mostly a creator on artist, writer, and I've worked at a lot of the major publishers. I was a founder at Malibu's Ultraverse in the 90s, and I created a lot of books at Image of my own, and I've worked in various other places. But my main focus has been doing my own stuff, and I've created a lot of different characters. I created Harsh Realm, which was made into a TV show on Fox briefly. And like he said, I've won a bunch of awards, international awards even. And last year I won the Inkpot Award at the San Diego Comic-Con, which was great because it gives me a lifetime membership now. So I don't have to pay anymore. I didn't have to pay anyways, but yeah, now at least I don't even have to put in my registration. They just automatically give me a badge, which is cool. But anyway, Yeah, so anybody who's followed my career, and if you haven't, I'm very big on doing different things and stretching myself creatively. So a lot of my stuff is just radically different from the other. And I've had a bunch of stuff in development. I'm managed by the Circle of Confusion, which produces The Walking Dead and some other stuff. And so they're working on some of my projects, trying to get it into film and television. One of them is The Psycho, which has been in and out of development for a while. This book I did with Dan Brereton. It started at DC and it went over to Image. And I've also had Esper's has been optioned a bunch of times, and we're trying to get that going too. And another project of mine called Chiller, which I did with John Ridgway, and we're excited about that. We have a screenplay for that that's really great, and I'm working with the screenwriter right now to just get it fine-tuned to the point where we can take it out. Anyway, so I've done a lot of stuff. I've been involved in the business, both the film business and the comics business. And, I also work as an internet developer, which is my main job now, because I kind of got out of comics when it crashed in the 90s. I got out about 96, 7. But I'm still doing it on the side. But, I haven't been really active in the last few years, and I really wanted to do something. And I actually did work with Val Mayrick, who I'm interviewing shortly on my own channel, on a book called Blue Cat for Aces Weekly, which is a website that does comics, and it's run by David Lloyd in England. David was actually my first collaborator. I worked with David Lloyd, who illustrated V for Vendetta. He and I worked together on Esper's, the first Esper, so he was the first comic artist I worked with. And anyways, that's sort of a rundown of my career. If you have any
Wow.
questions.
You are
Go
a
ahead.
very busy person, and you've done a lot of things. That's cool. But I want to take a minute here and in a couple minutes here and take a look at your various perks you have on Agenda, which is on Indiegogo right now, and you're very close to that 5,000 mark. But as we go along, we have a bunch of people on the panel here that I'm sure would like to ask questions to you. So while I open up these perks and take a look at them, Thunder, you have a question here for James?
I sure do. How you doing, James?
Hey, good.
Good. It's good to hear. My question is actually the question that I normally ask people. I didn't ask John this because I kind of already know his answer to it. We're in a time right now where there's a lot of discord, especially in America, in politics. We have one side that is very censorious and wants to control things, and another side that doesn't seem to be as much. I'm just wondering. I like to ask comic book artists this. It's just something I like to know. Where do you think it's going? Because it does affect us, and the comic book culture as a whole, it just as the whole industry, all of it, it affects us. So where do you think it's going? Do you think that there is a way to bridge the gap, or is it just too wide?
Well, first of all, I agree with your argument. I've always been an independent. I will always be an independent. I do not believe in the political parties as they exist because they don't really represent the things they claim to espouse, But here's the thing: it really comes down to who is statism versus freedom. I don't think the Republicans are necessarily about freedom either, but I think the Democrats are more about statism, and they, oppressive government. They claim, of course, not to be, but that doesn't matter because all you have to do is look at their actions. You look at every place that they've been in control for decades. Any city that they're controlling is not a paradise. Okay, if their values were what they said they were, they would be these wonderful places everyone were flocking to, but they're not. So I don't believe in anything they say. The Republicans, I find, are just like the weaker sauce version of them. But at least they semi defend the Constitution, which is important. The Constitution is extremely important, and anybody who is against freedom, the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, and all of that, which the Democrats are openly against now. They're openly stating things that they're opposed to, the Second Amendment, which is a civil right, and they're against free speech. And they pretty much, a lot of their people have said that. So they, in my opinion, are not the person to be voting for. But as far as whether or not this is a bridgeable gap or anything, I've always predicted since I was a teenager, which was many moons ago, that eventually a civil war will happen in the U.S. Now, I don't know if it'll be like the Civil War of the 1800s. It may not be. I mean, we have sort of like a virtual civil war right now. And whether it comes to blows or not, I don't think it will to the degree that it was in the old days. But I do think that it's an ideological war. The culture war is really what it is.
Right.
And it's about the destruction, basically the statists. And I think this goes beyond Democrat, okay? I think that basically they're Marxist, and they have like this goal to just get people to just stack up in line. If you ever saw, Pink Floyd's The Wall, even though Roger Waters is a leftist, but it's like, that's one of the funny things I find is that leftists always like to do stories about extremism, and they always say it's the right wing, but the fact is that the extreme totalitarian states are always leftist. But anyways, and all you have to do is look at history. It's 171 years of failure with over 100 million dead in the last century alone from communism. But anyway, I think that, it'll blow out eventually. And I think here's the thing. I think what's happened is things have pushed. It's like a pendulum that swings, and it takes decades. But the pendulum has swung too far in one direction, and now it's swinging back. So it's swinging back. So all those people are at a last gasp point where they're trying to regain power. They almost had it. If Hillary had won, they would have been able to affect all of the things that they want to do to really shut down this country and its rights. That's really their goals. And if you really look at their own literature, that's what they want. So, but they lost, and that's what's driven them so crazy. And Trump is basically reversing a lot of the stuff that they wanted. And what's going to happen is, this kind of craziness is going to continue for a while. But I've seen this before, not to this extent, but back in the 80s when Reagan was elected, there was like a lot of this kind of animosity, not to this extreme, but it was still pretty crazy. And they said all kinds of crazy stuff, like Reagan was going to put people in camps and all this, but they're really talking about themselves because that's what they want to do. So,
yeah.
So I just think that it'll blow out eventually. I don't think any of us are going to get shot or anything, hopefully. I think that it's good to be prepared just in case, and I try to be prepared. But, I think what we're seeing right now is history enacting itself, and this election recount stuff is just part of it. And I think the next year or two is going to be very telling. But I really think that it's all going again. The tide is going out on them. The people are pushed back because normal people are not political necessarily. They have their opinions one way or the other, but they're not like extremists. What we've had is a bunch of extremists pushing us in one direction. And I always consider myself a moderate. I've always considered myself a centrist, but people in the industry, a lot of people think I'm a right-wing extreme. I'm like, no, I'm not. I just believe in being left alone, really. But, the thing is that just because I've said I voted for Trump, which I did, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, they say, well, first of all, why should you be afraid to say who you voted for? That's crazy. They're trying to demonize people who don't agree with them. That to me makes them the bad guys, not me. I don't care if they're, I personally, I have a lot of friends who are leftists. I don't have anything against the leftists as people. I just don't like their policies and the results of their ideology, which is always bad.
No,
sure that's all.
right and left are not the problem anyway. It comes down to the progressives. That they're the problem. You had something to say, Booster?
It's just a name for Marxists, in my opinion.
Yeah, no,
Go
it
ahead.
is. You had a question, Booster?
I do have a question, actually. So, is this actually a team of superheroes, or are they a bunch of individual superheroes that each represent a political position to pull things in their agenda, if you will.
Okay, they don't know each other and they're from different countries, and so they're not a team. Some of them will be in conflict with each other because they have different goals, but they're not in direct opposition in the beginning. It's going to be an exploration of that, and some of them may become part, because some of them I think are more closer aligned than others are in terms of where their head is. But it's really looking at them as people and exploring the depths of that, of their person. You know, like a lot of times in comics, we're just given like, this is, you know, a badass and he like slashes people, and that's the extent of the personality that we're given in a comic book. But I'm actually taking it a lot deeper. If you're not familiar with my work, I like to put a lot more depth in my stuff. There's a lot more thought that goes into it. I do like to keep a nice balance between entertaining but also rich. You know, I want people to feel like they come back to my stories over and over again because really, you know, the books that I grew up with that I loved, they were books that I read multiple, like the Lord of the Rings I've read about 25 times. You know, that's a lot of times. Yeah, I mean, because it's rich. Sorry?
That's quite a bit of times for Lord of the Rings. Wow.
Yeah, well, yeah, you realize I'm 63 years old.
We agreed to not discuss bloody Lord of the Rings in this chat.
Oh,
I like
That's funny.
Well, I'm sorry, you don't know this, James, but Booster is an actual real life Hobbit, so he gets offended when people mention Lord of the Rings.
I get a little triggered.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, I love Hobbit. Was actually one of the first book that I discovered from Tolkien. I read that like 1 trillion times before I read Lord of the Rings. So I actually read all of his books. I've read the Silmarillion at least 20 times. So I mean, I'm a fan of his, but you know, there's other writers that I also really like. And the main thing is that I like stories that are rich and have a lot of depth to them, and they're not just escapist, you know. So I mean, I have nothing against escapist stuff. I enjoy it, but I like stories that you can read it on one level and it's a fun adventure story or whatever, but you can also come back to it and see things that you didn't see the first time you read it.
True.
I mean, I like that kind of stuff. That's what I'm going for. My main goal is to do a comic that makes people hungry for the next issue, and they want to read the next issue, and they actually wait for it. Let me see. Oh, well, I got a call now. Let me just take this for a sec. Hello?
Hey, Tank, of course, James here is the writer, but Tank, what do you think of the art here, man?
Actually,
I love the art, but I am a huge fan of the writer. I love what he's saying about this story, about how it's a good fun read on the surface. If you want to get into it, you can get into it. And that you know, it's got these separate pieces that come together. It reminds me, for you anime fans out there, it reminds me of some of the basic elements from the Fate Stay series. Where
I've
like legendary heroes are summoned as so I like that. I like how you're like, how is A going to intersect with J over there? They seem to have entirely different motivations and goals, but I love how he says, you know, they intersect sometimes in conflict, not always.
Yeah, actually,
and it's like,
I'm a big anime fan. I was going back to the early 80s. I was into anime before anybody here was, pretty much. I mean, there was a very small anime community in the early 80s. I was like an instrumental person in bringing Japanese stuff over here. I worked for Viz Comics from the beginning. And I actually, when I was at Eclipse, I wrote a lot of letters to Japanese publishers to try to get manga over here. So I was one of the instrumental people bringing that stuff over here in the 80s. And so I'm very influenced by Japanese stuff because I've actually been reading it since I was a little kid. I lived in Hawaii when I was a little kid, and I was exposed to Japanese stuff. So I mean, I'm really into it, and I sort of my personal kind of view of doing stuff is different than the average comic book writer, probably because my influences are pretty global, and I've always had a global view of things. So like Espers, for example, it's got an international cast also. And I like doing that personally. Anyway,
Now, James, I have a question here from the chat, and the question is who is the girl in the pink goggles that I was seeing in the picture here on our stream? Who is the girl with
yes,
the pink goggles?
she's the partner of Machine Queen, who's the woman in the cover holding up the little glowing thing, which is a micro drone.
Oh,
And she's sort of like she works with her. She's got powers. I won't say her name at the moment, but she's going to be on the next video. I have a video up there of some of the characters of Agenda, and the second set of characters will be revealed in the next video, which I'm working on. So I'll give you that much that you'll get her name and everything. But she's basically a person who's able to open portals and able to move around like that.
I see.
And so she works with she's Thai, by the way. And Machine Queen, the woman with the drone, she's Japanese.
So we have a blonde Thai girl and a robotic Japanese lady. I get it.
Well, that's just her costume. She's not robotic. She looks pretty hot, actually. If you look at the, look at the little, if you look down where the little videos are, I think it's up a little bit on the page. Yeah, right there. That's Machine Queen in regular clothes.
I see.
So
yeah.
I just have to point out a design thing real quick. I love the cut on the back of her shirt for the Machine Queen. It's got like that little hourglass Black Widow thing going on.
Yeah, Matt's really good, and also I looked and scoured the internet for really good like ideas for like inspirational art and cover and design stuff. So I went to tons of websites with like sci-fi outfits and everything, and I sent him just tons of material to go over. He came up with his own designs, but he was inspired by some of the stuff I sent him. So we're trying, we really are putting a lot of thought into this, and I do a lot of research for my own sake, and I'm glad you like it.
So, two things. First, you hit 5,039 right now, so congratulations.
Great.
And the second one is it gives based on what you're talking about, it kind of reminds me of Rising Stars meets the Watchmen, kind of that vibe that I'm getting from the drawings and coloring and everything that I see from this.
I haven't read Rising Stars, but I was a fan of Watchmen. I consider Alan Moore one of my influences. It's in the similar vein, but here's the thing. Back in the 80s, all these comic book creators were doing quote unquote realistic superheroes, but I didn't think any of them were, including Watchmen, because there was this sort of they didn't really understand the politics that they were talking about, and they didn't really understand the implications of things to the extent that it, and it still has to be seen whether I do it as well. But my goal is, it's like everything has repercussions. Any kind of action has effect on things, and especially if like new technology is introduced to the world that radically changes it. I mean, I remember before iPhones and all that stuff. I mean, the world was different, and before social media and all that stuff. I remember I'm before that, so I've seen how things can change by the introduction of technology or certain trends. So this one of the things I'll be dealing with in this story is about how if somebody had powers, how would that actually change the world? Because one of the things that bugged me about comics growing up is that people go around and they get into these fights and they destroy like whole city blocks and everything. And the next issue is like totally forgotten, But I like the idea of seeing the repercussions and how it would affect. Because look at 9/11. Not even a block, but like a section of a block was destroyed and leveled, and it had worldwide implications that crashed economies and did all kinds of stuff. So I mean, and I always believe that if you had a superhuman that was able to do something like Superman or whatever, I don't have a character like that, but if somebody was able to have superpowers on some massive level, it would have a phenomenal effect on the world. It wouldn't be just like, oh, look, there's a guy who can fly around. It'd be like more, it would have massive implications on everything. And so that's one of the things I want to do with this book is explore the real ramifications, the geopolitical ramifications, and also political ramifications of, you know, how somebody who could do things that should be impossible, how that would affect things in the world. It would change people's whole view of things, you know, just like you hear in old movies how, or you've heard probably the conspiracy theory about aliens, that if we can't really, the government can't tell people the truth about aliens because it would cause so much chaos or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, what if somebody had those kind of powers? It would be the same kind of thing. It would cause chaos, and that would cause a lot of things to happen. So that's, to me, a lot of writers are scared off by that, but I find it challenging and interesting to explore those ideas.
Well, I think so
Oh, yeah.
too. Definitely sounds interesting. Now, DeWolf, I'm sure you got a question or two here for James.
Yeah. Yeah, that almost sounds like you could also have a I was gonna say a weapons war, technology war, like the Cold War. You know, I've got a superhero over in my country, and you don't, right? So
Yeah, and
and
the Psycho, actually, back in the 90s, I did a comic called The Psycho, and in that idea, I had the idea of that superhumans would be like WMDs, walking WMDs, and different countries would have their own collection of superhumans working for them. So I kind of did that way before anyone else did, way before like Civil War and all that stuff, where they were kind of like, they ripped off a lot of my ideas. I did that in The Psycho. You can check it out.
oh, yeah, and I like the fact that you have a showcase of characters here on the cover, and yet they don't all know each other and they don't work together. You don't see that very often. But we do talk about things that we like and things that we don't like on FanSpeak. The coiled up snake on the guy's mask is totally throwing off my feng shui.
That's called
And
the Gladson flag. That's what it's called, the Gladson flag.
yeah,
When you say
I like
it's affecting
it
your
on the back of his coat. I really like the fact that the snake is there and with the "Don't tread on me," but right on the front of the face mask and the white, like I say, it's just feeling it. I think a snake motif, you know, would be pretty cool there. And that's just me, you know, right? That's one thing that we talk about, a little bit of criticism to say, you know, what would make me click the back button faster? And all the other artwork looks great, and all the other characters look great. And like I say, I don't know what it is. It's the way the design works on this one particular character, this one particular mask. It throws off for me that character somehow.
Well, there's one thing I want to point out here is that none of these characters are heroes or villains. I leave it up to the audience to decide who they like and who they don't. So I'm not actually I'm not a proponent of any of them. I am a proponent of all of them, but I'm not like taking sides. I want the reader to take sides and to see who they really like, because that'll be interesting to me. But they're all different. So you may not like the guy, but that's okay, because actually that's fine. Because
Oh yeah, I like the guy. I think the snake on the mask, I don't know, campy comes to mind. But like I say, that's my own personal opinion, and we all know that everybody.
I think DeWolf is talking about the aesthetic, not necessarily the story behind the character.
Oh, sure, I get it. Well,
Yeah,
you know, I've had a lot of people compliment me on it, so I don't know. It's all a personal taste thing, you know.
That's true. That is true. I like the design on the machine lady, though.
Yeah, he really went through a lot of design iterations. You can see like one of the design iterations on the above character sheet, but that's different than the one she's using. That was one of her early designs. He's gone through a lot of designs for her.
Yeah, I like this one down here better.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be like Iron Man, where it'll probably evolve over time, but I like it too. It's good.
Well, I know you are tight on time today, James, but could we take a moment and run through some of your perks here, and let you tell us about them, please?
Yeah, I got more time because Val called me and said that he couldn't do his interviews. So something came up. So yeah, sure, we have some more time. Go ahead.
Oh, cool. All right, you can see the Hangout screen, I'm assuming. And
Yeah.
I have just opened up your featured, which is something we keep telling everybody to put on. Have a featured perk, and you have. And that's a very good thing. And this is a $90 perk, and it's called the Military Agenda. Can you tell us what this perk is, what people are getting, and such?
Well, this one is designed to both get you some comics, but also to give them to the troops overseas. So basically, for every one of these perks that's bought, at a minimum of 6 copies per perk. So for every person that adds 6, but it'll probably be more. But it'll be a minimum, and it'll be shipped around the world to our troops via the USO. But you'll also get, personally, you'll get 2 signed copies of Agenda 1 with both covers. We have 2 covers that we're going to have. You'll be able to get both covers, and I'll probably throw in some goodies besides that for the perk signers. So they'll get probably a poster and postcard and stuff like that. But the shipping costs will be on us for that perk. So
Well, that's
and we'll
really
also,
good that you're doing stuff for the military. Mike Miller did that as well with his Lone Star comic.
yeah,
That's
actually,
a
that's
cool
my
thing.
idea.
Yeah. Now with this one
I-
here, particularly with the military, James, covering shipping and stuff on your side, that might be fine. But when it comes to the rest of the stuff, I would advise the same thing I've advised everybody else: charge shipping separate. Don't include shipping in your cost. Let the buyer pay for their own shipping.
yeah.
No, seriously. I mean, I've heard a lot of Indiegogo guys come in here and say that, oh, we're covering the shipping. But I see you have Plus here, but you had mentioned that you're going to handle the shipping on the military one, which I guess is a special case in with this
Yeah,
particular perk.
shipping will kill you if you don't do that. What
Hmm.
what you suggest is absolutely true. I know a lot of people who do these things, and they say shipping will kill you if you don't do it. So you definitely have to cover the shipping. You have to put a shipping additional on there.
Okay, and I see here with a $10 perk, you have this as a digital copy and a signed postcard. So yeah, you're doing a PDF now. Are you going to hold that PDF for a while after the physical prints go out, or is it going to be coming out at the same time?
Um, I think probably around the same time. Yeah, but they're going to get a signed postcard in the mail before that. I'll probably send those out, like a month before.
Oh, that's cool. And that was a $10 one, and you have a $20 one here, and this is you're getting the comic, the postcard, and the poster. Now, I'm not sure if I saw the postcard or the poster over here. Let me go look.
No, I didn't design those yet, but they're
Oh,
they're going to be special.
I see. I understand. All right. Well, that's cool little stretch goal, I'm assuming, or just a part of the
Not
perk.
stretch goal. We'll do that when we get to our goal. Then we'll start adding stretch goals.
I see. I see. Oh, that's good. All right, and we have this one right here, which is your international agenda, which is, I'm sure, covering people like myself. It's the same thing, same money, but you have it separate for some reason. Why is that?
Because that has a I have to have the shipping cost is greater because it's for international shipping.
So it has to
So
be separate. I see.
yeah, it basically I wanted to show that you pay the same amount for the perk. It's just the shipping that's extra. So the shipping's going to be more, but it's not going to be radically different, because I'm going to work with fulfillment companies to do international so that I can get a better rate for shipping. So hopefully nobody will get burned.
Mm. I also see over here in the chat that Mike Anger is in here, and his Black Forest has funded. Congratulations, Mike. It's good to hear that, man.
Thank you.
All right, coming down here, is Mike in here with me? I didn't think so. But all right, coming down, we have a 30 a $30 perk here, and this is 2 signed copies for $30.
Yeah, you get both covers and they'll be signed.
So you're basically having a comic book for about 15-20 bucks, and it's 46 pages, right?
Yeah, it'll be 46 pages of story. Yes.
Oh, awesome, man. Now, Denali, you like going through the perks and stuff here. Would you like to interject anything?
I think it needs to be a little bit more kind of showing the different designs of those, because you said 3 books with unique covers, but we'll only see that
Yeah,
one
he hasn't
cover.
done the cover yet, but as soon as he does, I'm going to change the graphic on there probably.
Okay.
Except I don't think they let you change the part graphics, but I will put them up there on the cover on the center thing so you can see what the 2 covers look like. There's also a 3rd cover, which you can only get with one of the perks.
Yeah, that was with your military one special at 90.
Right.
And is there any perk that has the digital and physical copy? I mean,
I didn't do that, but I can do that. In fact,
Hmm.
it's one of the things I'm really interested in people's feedback. So when people give me ideas for perks, I put them up usually. So if you think that's a good idea, I'll definitely consider it.
Yeah, because sometimes people who are collector of comics don't want to really open the physical copy. They do want to own the physical copy, but they rather read it like digitally.
Yeah.
So that
I'll
kind of
definitely
mess it
do this today, either tonight or tomorrow.
Mhm.
I'll add that. I'll call it collector agenda.
Sounds good.
And I see you got a T-shirt here too.
Yeah, that's just one of the T-shirts. I'm having Matt do some other designs. That's just one panel from. That's like page 2 of the comic without the text. But I thought it just made a nice looking T-shirt. But I'm gonna do some other ones too.
Well, I know
And I'm
Tank
also
is gonna want to have to come in here and say that because merch has been mentioned.
I'm really doing all kinds of merch actually. So I'm planning to do some more. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Tank.
All right. Yes, merch and presentation. So I love the fact that you're doing multiple covers. Here's a cool idea. So when you have multiple covers, but you don't have the additional covers designed yet, what you can do is you can kind of go back to like the old grit advertisements where they would show you something at like almost like a 3/4 angle, a little dynamic, get your eye interested in it, and that's like you have that one big, and that's got the cover that you already have designed. Then if you have 1 or 2 other ones, you have 2 other little comic books with kind of like a little yellow, like a yellow cover with the white explodey jagged lines thing with like a question mark on the center of it. And that would be like, oh, cool, mystery. But I love the fact that you got a T-shirt going on here. What I would love to see is because you kind of have like this whole international deal. Those like sew on or iron on patches, like various flags or maybe the symbols of the heroes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. But I actually thought of that, symbols of the heroes, their logos, basically. And so they have their own branding and everything. I definitely wanted to do that. So I'm glad you mentioned that. That's
Even
something.
like little buttons, because buttons are super cheap, and you could pretty much throw them in on top of stuff. And
that's actually
people like tchotchkes.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good idea.
Because I love this project. And it should honestly be sitting at 10 times of what it is because of the quality.
It's still got 30 days to go, though.
This is Game of Thrones for science fiction superhero fans.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
It's got plenty of time to make money, I think.
Yeah, I'm a month and a half away. I got like 90 days still.
Oh, okay.
But I've got 60 half of a month and a half basically. Yeah.
All right, and you got a couple of big perks here, James. You got this global agenda, which has 4 books and original art. What do you mean by original art?
A page from the actual comic.
For $100 plus 4 signed books. Wow, that is very low price.
Yeah, I know.
That's a collector's goal.
Actually, they told me, I was on a chat with Ethan Van Shiver and Mike Miller and stuff, and they told me that was too low for original art. But unfortunately, somebody claimed the perk, so I can't change it now. But that's why I limited it to only 8, 50. Well,
yeah, you got more. You have more options in here than you actually have pages in your book. So
that one is. I'm sorry. That one is a drawing that Matt will. Matt will do you a drawing of any character you want on that. Yeah. The only 10. There's only like a very limited amount of copies you can get with original art.
And
Yeah.
that's the $200 perk. Oh, okay, well that's a little
Yeah,
better.
there's only 5 people can get that one.
I see.
So,
All right, this
and
is
you
like a
mentioned
bulk. Okay.
James, that who's your other artist? Is it going to be the same artist doing the other covers, or do you have other artists aligned for the
Matt's the artist, and
Mhm.
Mikey is his brother who's doing the coloring. But I may do some other covers with different artists as well. I think for the stretch goals, we'll probably do special editions with different covers by famous artists. And I know a bunch of famous artists really well, so I can do.
Oh, yeah.
I can get some real hot artists doing covers.
Booster might have some free time.
Yeah, Booster's amazing.
It's true. I have some pretty incredible artwork.
Okay.
No, we're not serious. It's stick
Okay.
figures, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good, James. We're looking forward to seeing how this your agenda does on Indiegogo. We hope it does well. There's a lot of good perks here. The page looks pretty good overall. You got a couple of trailers up there. Yeah, no, I think it's going to do well, and we'll keep an eye on this. And maybe toward the end of the campaign, you can come back and touch base with us again. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and wrap this up with James. Does anybody have any further questions for him?
No, I do have one thing that is another a boon here, and that is the actual video that's at the top. Sometimes these videos, for whatever reason, the image that's placed for the video doesn't match. It doesn't work. It doesn't share the theme of the rest of the page, and this one does. So kudos on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try my best.
A lot of times we just see text in these videos as sort of the opening, and that doesn't really work because text doesn't bring you into the world. You know, a decent long shot will always bring you into the world.
Yeah.
Things like that. So yeah, anyone out there who's listening, when you do a video, try to make your thumbnail some kind of long shot that brings you into the environment.
Yeah, well, I'm one of these guys that's really late sometimes to the party. So I wanted to get on YouTube as a YouTuber back when it started. And it took forever to get to this point where I'm doing it now. But I've been studying other YouTubers for a long time and watching how they do stuff. And I've learned about video production and everything. So I definitely know what I'm doing. You know, I try to do research before I do a project. So I appreciate your feedback.
Oh, absolutely. We do try to help out here. I think the Indiegogo looks pretty good. I think you got some nice perks going on there. Yeah, it looks like a fun comic book. But we always try to give feedback, positive, and even some negative things if we see it, to try to help you out, because we want you to have a better project. And we as consumers, we know what we want to buy, right? So it's helpful for you, I think, if there is a criticism here or there. But today it sounded like most everyone was real happy with everything. For the most part. So
I appreciate that. I just want you to know I am perfectly open to criticism, but also I just wanted to say that earlier when you're talking to John Malin, you were talking about how fans can be involved. I think one of the great things about this sort of crowdfunding is that fans can be more than just an audience. They can actually be participants in comics now. They can actually help the production of comics. They can become investors and help with, get comics made that they want to support. So instead of just being given a bunch of choices that weren't given to you, and you just get like a stack of comics and you have to decide which ones you want to buy, this is where you can actually invest in a project and help make it real. And it's not just, you just have to get what's given to you. Now you have the opportunity to be part of something. So I think this is what's really exciting about this whole artisanal comic movement.
absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
James is also very approachable. He's not one of these. I worked in the industry. There's a wall up between you and me. He's very, very approachable. Very much a nice guy, as you can see, very articulate and intelligent, and you can hold a conversation with him, even if you're a fan. He's always posting pictures and different things on on Facebook. So don't be afraid to interact with them. And if you have your own questions, I would say go to them directly if we didn't cover anything that you want to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Oh,
just
Yeah.
sorry, I just want to add that my channel on YouTube is Esper999, ESPER 999. That's my channel. Please subscribe and check out my videos. I'm not doing that many videos right now, but I am doing at least a couple a week. Unfortunately, my interview with Valmer tonight has to be rescheduled, but I'm going to be doing interviews with creators at least twice a week, and I'll also be doing my own videos twice a week. I'm going to be doing a series on writing also, so just exploring the process of writing and all of that stuff. So yeah, because
Okay,
I've
so
taught.
James, do me a favor and give me that YouTube number again, name again, so James here can go and find that and put it in the chat for you.
It's ESPER 999. The number is 999.
Thank you.
So Esper 999.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for coming. And of course, you're welcome to hang on. We're going to do some news here to finish out our show today. If you want to hang around and interact with the news, please do. But we're really happy to have you on here today. It was a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing how the project goes. And I'm serious about that. When you get toward the end of the project, please come back and touch base with us and see how you're doing. Okay.
Yeah, feel free to ask me back. And I unfortunately have to go tonight, but I would like to stay, but I have to go. But yeah, definitely, I'd love to talk more. You'll find that I can talk about a lot of stuff.
That's cool. We do like talking about a lot of stuff. So thank you very much for coming. We appreciate that. And thank you, Todd, for bringing him over.
Yeah, thank you.
No. I knew he'd be a great guest.
Sweet. All right.
Okay, cool. Take care. Bye.
All right. Thanks, James. We'll talk to you later, man. Good luck to you.
Night.
All right,
Thanks,
good
James.
night. All right.
Hey, that answer there, I'm sorry, I got to cut right. That answer, I guess, to the a question, 40 minutes ago that I asked, that's a forward-thinking answer. That is a guy who understands this process at a more macro level. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, he had some good point of view, and I like what he's doing with his comic as well. It's a good looking project too. So it's absolutely excellent. Let me get over here, and we've been ignoring the chat, and I do apologize for that, but we were real tight on time, and we wanted to get that in, guys. So come over here, and we have Kishan here. Hello, it's a new face for us. Nice to see you. We got P Money. Awesome. Sierra Whiskey, hello, sir. James, of course, Doom over here helping us out in the chats. We have, let's come up. We have, Chronos Chiron is with us. Welcome. We have Eric. We have Joshua Hughes, our most favorite troll. And I've seen a lot of other people's names. I see we've got Hoth Rebel in here and been watching here. And of course, Mike came in and said that his Black Forest had funded, which is really great. There's so many names. I can't cover everybody, but thank you all for coming over and supporting us. It is amazing the amount of support we get and how much we're growing, and we do appreciate that, guys. Of course, keep in mind if you feel so inclined, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe to help us grow more and more. And we have been growing every day, and it's really been going great. But we definitely want to jump in and do some news and finish out the show. But before we do that, with the panelists up here, does anyone want to make any comments or anything before we move forward? Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tank.
I was going to say, when you meet your heroes and your adoration of them is justified. Well met, sir. Well met. What
Nice.
a fantastic person.
I want to expand on what you're just saying because I know a lot of these guys that are legends. I call them legends because they've been doing this for 30, 40 years. And you won't find as many open-minded legends as James just came across. Very well.
Oh, that's cool. It is cool. Anybody else? All right, thank you very much, Booster. All right, so let's go ahead and move into our news, and we'll finish up the show today. Keep in mind, if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask us. And if you guys could, up here on the panel with me, if you guys could do me a favor and go check through the chat, and if you see something that has been mentioned, you want to communicate, please do. You got something, Denali?
Yeah. Cat R says, "Did we talk what happened in the debate yesterday? I missed everything."
Well, go ahead, Denali.
So no, we didn't talk anything about the debate. I mean, you guys can watch Nick Rakita's live stream and decide for yourself, what happened there. What we see is, Ethan has his own choices to make about, where he wants to be in his position, and I guess he feels or felt that he needed to move on to all caps. It's not really a surprise since he has been mentioning that in a couple streams lately. I think uh, based on what we saw last night, it probably solidified him just transitioning over to, his own brand, all caps, which he's been mentioning for several months.
Yeah, he has.
I think as long as we follow the ideals of Comicsgate, which is being respectful to creators, telling excellent stories, being respectful to the fans who provide feedback because we want you guys to succeed, and engaging, having that experience between creator and consumer, I think it's we're all good. We're still connected. We may be traveling in parallel paths and sidewalks, and they might go up and we might go down, but we're still heading to the same destination, which is providing good content of whether it's comics, whether it's YouTube, whether it's just us chit chatting in the chat things. So as long as we're respectful for one another and and continue to have fun, that's the main point. And that's
The community is so large and broad, and it's funny because we say that term, the community, and you have to really go back to a lot of where Comicsgate was before many of us were even involved with it, right? And it goes back to that Marvel DC thing. You got those creators doing their things, and when fans want something more, right? They demand something more. We've seen that all through things like Hobby Lobby and businesses like Chick-fil-A and now Marvel DC. And it depends on how you address that. Sometimes these businesses, they act one way and they get lots of support. Sometimes they act another way and they suffer, some sales from it. And now we have Comicsgate and the movement of people and consumers and fans, they've gone their direction. There was a broad number of creators. We had one, namely Jon Malin, on tonight. They came forward. They were creating products to which those fans could go with. And hey, we have some high ideals. We really have opinions of what each and every one of us want out of stories and out of art. And then there's this completely wild card that we all have to notice about what's going on. And that is the interaction. It's not a normal business model. It's a community-based business model where there's so many different interactions. And in that regard, you're going to have different pockets and different zones. And when someone speaks up, we hold that creator to a certain standard, just like we did before with Marvel. And we expect that standard to be a positive model. And it can be mucky sometimes for a creator to have to see what happens as they move forward with their personal business. And so that's where we stand, and that's where the community is at. You saw that in the debate. There was many people in support of one idea and many people who were not in support of that idea. The greatest thing is it's a revival and it's a renaissance. And because of that, this is going to keep growing. And Marvel, keep Marvel and DC, in this conversation. They're going to change as well. They're going to change. These Indiegogo's are going to change, and you're going to see all of them at IndieCron. I got to put that little out there. IndieCron, hey, go there. They're all there, and they're going to be vying for their place in the market. So just keep working at it, guys. We appreciate it because we're out there still buying them.
Yeah, and we have a pro right here with Todd for Ignition. He's writing up this storyline. When it launches, it's going to be awesome. You heard Jon Malin that. He's also the one who did my avatar for the Denali Llama, and it looks awesome. So, he's approachable. He has his channel. He wants to help the community as well. and he's willing to spend time with you guys and teach you the trades that he learned as well, so you can improve your skill. I know that I was on a stream with him on Good Dog Press, and we're talking with Mandy, and he mentioned just a simple design change that made a panel look so much better. When we were talking about the zigzag line, we're guiding the reader in sequential arts, and it just changing something so minute changed the whole panel completely, and it looked more polished and more professional. So check out his channel. Use us as resources. We want to be here to help you guys.
Absolutely, man. And that's the real cool thing about it over here with FanSpeak. We keep getting a lot of people to come on and joining us and helping us and call themselves FanSpeak. We have, marketing and art with Tank. We have, straight up art consultation with Todd. We have, of course, the we core that are running around trying to manage everything. We have comedy with Booster, and expertise with Thundaro, and we have so many other people who are offering their help to grow. And we want you to be part of that too. Come over here and be part of what we're doing. Offer your expertise, offer your opinions. Get on here and chat with us. I know some of you are maybe don't have the time or the equipment to join onto a YouTube, but if you do, try it out. Don't be afraid of it. We're very happy to sit and talk with everybody, because just keep in mind, we're all fans. No matter how successful or unsuccessful or career or oriented we may be, or whatever it is, in the end, we're all fans, right? So please come and join us. Now, let's go ahead and jump into this news, guys, and so we can finish up the show today. Now, the first story we have here, and I'm going to put this over here so you guys can see it, and let Denali introduce it to us, is weird, but we see a lot of weird news, don't we, Denali? Go ahead and introduce this to the folks, please.
Okay. So, is it the Eddie Brock confirms he's Venom jealous boyfriend? That's wrong in so many levels. That shows that whoever's writing the storyline does not know what Venom is. And if you really want to know what Venom is, check out Bugs Bear Basement a couple weeks back when we're talking Kraven's Last Hunt, where we definitely delve into the birth of Venom.
Yes.
And basically they're showing, that Eddie Brock was jealous when the symbiote was part of Flash Thompson for a time, and being jealous. And I'm like, first of all, why is Venom is the combination of the symbiote and Eddie Brock? The symbiote without Eddie Brock isn't Venom, and Eddie Brock by himself isn't Venom. It's the two combined that is Venom. So how can he be, jealous of themselves? Kind of deal.
True.
And it's kind of like they lose sight of what the characters are, personality. They just go in, saying, here's a popular character, let's change it to fit whatever narrative we want, and not really understand what is the character, and how does the symbiote in this case and Eddie Brock connect with each other. They just know, oh, these two characters, blah blah blah, and let's do something weird with it.
True, it's what it is. And Booster, what do you think about this gay symbiote action going on over here, man?
Eddie Brock confirms he's Venom's jealous boyfriend.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, it is. The first thing I've seen Venom. Booster's seen Venom. I don't know if all of you guys have, but one thing I've noticed here was right in this picture looking. Now that is straight up out of that movie, huh, Booster?
I haven't seen that movie. I know what you're on about.
I thought you were the ones that did.
Well,
this scene
I
is
have.
straight up out of that movie, man.
Yeah, and you now know why that movie was all about Venom having a relation, the symbiote having a relation with Eddie Brock. If you didn't get that subcat context.
Of course.
If it wasn't, it wasn't even in the subcontext blatantly obvious.
It was very
And
blatant. It was silly. But yeah, no. Does anyone else have comments on this? Just real quick though. Sierra Whiskey says he
Yes.
has his streaming corner is ready, sir. Well, sir, we are ready for you, Mr. Whiskey. And if you are ready to go, then tomorrow, definitely go give me a DM, and we will have you on tomorrow on the news, and you can try out your gear, man. That would be a lot of fun. Go ahead, Tank.
All right, I have three things. First thing, dude, that eye. What is up with that eye that's being covered up? It's like shifted. It's like sticking into his orbit of his eye socket. It's so wrong. Okay.
That's more Mark Bagley for you,
Yeah, it is.
by the way.
yes.
What is love? Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Why did you do that?
I'm
to
just
us?
waiting
Why?
for the
Yeah,
Eddie Brock
that was
Venom Wedding
horrible.
Spectacular issue. That it's coming.
Oh, goodness gracious. Anybody have anything else before we move on to the next story? It's just so silly, man. I don't know why they do this stuff.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. It's something they do. They are complete, and obviously Venom and Eddie Brock's not really a male friendship, but they do this in all kinds of media. It's stupid. They don't understand the concept of men just being friendly or having literally in this case a symbiotic relationship that isn't some way romantic or sexual. And
Yeah,
it's just
weird.
dumb.
Yeah,
They're weird.
why can't men be friends? What the hell's wrong with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Remember, polyamorous farm.
Ah, Denali. You're supposed to be the Denali Lama, uplifting and enlightening, not making me frustrated. All right, let's move on to the next story and get away from this train wreck. All right. Oh, another train wreck. Oh,
Michelle Yeoh in talks for Star Trek Discovery spinoff.
Yay, more Discovery. That's exactly what we need. Although Michelle Yeoh is quite a good actress. I enjoy her work quite a bit, and she was cool on that first show. But the Discovery itself is an absolute disaster. I don't know why we'd want to spin anything off of such a disaster. They're already canceling it in lieu of some other things. So what are you talking spin-off? I don't get it. Um, what did you guys think of Discovery? Anybody here watch Star Trek Discovery?
I thought it was a perfect time for me not to watch a show.
Oh, I'm glad you felt that way because I went and suffered through a couple of the episodes and then I gave up.
You're a braver man than I am.
Oh well, you know.
My father, who is a Star Trek fan, who watched the original series when it came out as a young boy, said, and this was very poignant. They said they gather all the broken people, rejects, and had them shone off in space.
Yeah.
To destroy the universe and then return to get a medal for it.
Mm-hmm.
That was his commentary about it. He said they were all hollow characters. They didn't bring anything. They weren't true to Star Trek. And this is just like, I don't know what I saw, but it wasn't Star Trek at all. And this is from who watched the original Star Trek, watched the movies of the original cast, watched Next Generation, watched all the Next Generation's movies, saw Deep Space Nine, saw Voyager, saw Enterprise. Basically, you could call him a Trekkie, except he didn't collect anything. He just watched the show.
Yeah, same as me, man. I've seen everything Star Trek. I love Star Trek. I prefer
Yeah, me
Star
too.
Trek over Star Wars, actually.
Same.
Yeah. So this irritates me to no end because what they're trying to do is they're trying to make the SJW Star Wars is what they're trying to do, and they don't understand that no, Star Trek is not Star Wars. They're not even closely related. They have hardly anything in common at all. They don't get it because they don't understand what they're doing. Just like everything we say, they don't do their research, they don't do their work, they don't understand the material. Right. And we have, questions over here, comments over here as well. Eric says, I'm so sick of people arbitrarily changing characters. Heterosexuality is never the answer. We know that, right? Nothing matters anymore. Exactly. Star Trek is even deader than Star Wars. Yes. Now, how sad is that, right? Et cetera, et cetera. It's just,
And it's ridiculous because we've been for a long time in what is being considered the golden age of television right now, and Star Trek should be a part of that, and it's just not because they just can't keep their politics out of it. They can't give us the 90s Star Trek shows, and even back in the old Star Trek in the movies, they can't even touch those with but it would look so much better now, like the production values would, and they can't touch it. They don't know how to keep their nonsense out of it, and they try and mold it into this weird thing that it was never supposed to be. They're all convinced that it was always an SJW show. No, it wasn't. It had social commentary in it, sure, of course it did. Every show does, but that wasn't the point. The point of Star Trek, the overall point, was a future we could believe in.
Yes.
Because every other future you hear about is horrible.
That's right. Brighter future. Exactly.
Right.
Brighter future. Yeah. And that's not what they're doing with this. This Star Trek Discovery is bleak and gloomy. It has no hope. It is just more nonsense, more SJW politics, all there, and it doesn't even fit into the story they're trying to do. But you know, I'm not Booster. I'm not ranting. I'm being a good boy.
Are you being a good boy?
I am being a good boy.
Well, you can rant all you. I don't mind. I'll let you rant.
No.
Oh.
Do you ever watch Star Trek, Booster, or are you more of a, playtime with Dr. Billy? I heard that was a big show down in New Zealand.
I have never had a playtime with Dr. Billy. And no, I haven't really
That's not wrong.
I watched the J.J. Abrams movies. I thought they were okay. I never watched them again. You know.
Well,
I don't really care about Star Trek, so I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah,
that's the entire problem with them is you watch them once and you never watch them again. Whereas the old stuff people literally watched fanatically.
That's right.
Over and over and over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That sounds really
it was
sad.
kind of interesting. Alex Kurtzman, who's part of the Bad Robots, actually the showrunner for season 2 and overall context of Star Trek for CBS All Access, and he has a 5-year contract. So, I mean, I think I don't know how to better phrase it, but just direct you to Doomcock's channel, Overlord DVD, which is his channel, for those content, and he's more eloquent about the distaste of the current affairs about STDs, and nobody likes STDs.
Well, and Chronos Chiron had mentioned that the Doomcock melted down over this. And of course, I'm melting down as well. I've been melting down ever since they've been doing this nonsense. And just to touch on what Booster had said, J.J. Abrams and his new Star Trek. The problem with JJ is same thing with his Star Wars. JJ is a TV show maker. That's what he's good at. He's good at making TV shows. He cannot tell a story in 2 hours. The guy just can't do it. He just can't. He's not a good movie maker. He has no movie that is good. They're not necessarily horrible. You can sit and watch them and just get through them. But he's not a big time movie director, even though everyone wants us to desperately believe he is. He's not. He should go back to movies. Now, if JJ was doing Star Trek, I bet you it would be a lot better than it is because he's really good at TV stuff.
Not really, because here's the thing with JJ. He comes in for the first episode, for the first movie, or for whatever of the franchise, and makes $1 million. And what does he do? He walks away. And afterwards, all the shows declined. The movie declined. Look at Star Trek reboot, the 2009 version. You had JJ on the helm for the first two. The first one made a whole lot of money because it was the first Star Trek. Came back for the second movie, vastly underperformed. And then you have his company working on Star Trek Discovery, and you see how this is turning out. Now look at Star Wars. He comes in for the first movie, plants his mystery boxes, thinks, okay, I'm not going to do anything more. I'll let everybody handle it. You see, everybody saw The Last Jedi. Everybody has their own opinion about it. And if you're here, we know we have the similar opinion, more or less. And now he has to return to Episode 9 to close up a trilogy that he had no idea to close it off with.
And he can't close anything. William is asking, what TV series has JJ done? Well, JJ did Lost, which is a great show, and then he couldn't end it. It was the most horrible ending, one of the most horrible endings I've ever seen of any TV show. And
He also
that's the
did
problem. He
Fringe.
can't, yeah, Fringe. And once again, horrible ending. Love that show. He's good at making TV shows. You just can't end anything. He has no skill at that. And he should be smart enough to bring someone in that could. Kat says the two shows I watched by J.J. Abrams always started well, but by the end were really bad. Yeah, that's the point. He can't. He's not the golden boy that Hollywood wants him to be. He's just not. And it's too bad they keep bringing him in and using him incorrectly. But from his point of view, hey, they're going to pay him money. Good on him. Take it. I mean, because that's I don't have anything against JJ, but I'm
He's
just
basically a for some reason more acceptable. Let's try English. More acceptable version of what's the Transformer guy? I just blanked on his name.
Michael Bay.
Yeah, Michael Bay. He's basically just a less hated version by the critics or whatever of Michael Bay. That's all he is. He just makes movies that are passable. They're not great. They're not going to blow anybody's mind in 20 years.
You're
They're
going to
just
give me an aneurysm with this Michael Bay stuff, man. Please don't do that. Oh God, Michael Bay. All right. Well, if we keep talking about this, I'm going to get into real details of why Star Trek Discovery is really bad, and if we want to do that, we should do a show on it all by itself, because we could do that. But let's move on. Let's go to the last story of the day, and then we'll wrap it up and say bye to everybody. Denali, go ahead and introduce this, please.
So, how many people liked the new 52 Superman when he was wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and Lois Lane revealed his identity to the whole world? Anyone?
Will
No.
No. Okay.
the entire world.
So, for those who
how you say womp womp.
Yeah, you're roboting really bad, Tank.
So, supposedly, and just to bring everybody update who hasn't been following this particular storyline, New 52 Superman was supposedly supposed to merge with pre-52 Superman that everybody loved to make the Superman rebirth that we have right now. Well, lo and behold, in the current storyline that we're having for DC Metal universe, New 52 Superman never actually merged with pre-52 Superman, and he actually is existing in the metal world, fighting off monster and trying to get back. And he remembers all the events that happened in his lifetime. So, what is the implication about this? It implicates. Well, we'll have to look at the clues that's been laid out. You have Grant Morrison talking about putting Mr. Manhattan into the forefront, who was the architect of the New 52 by removing Hope. Now you have the New 52, 52 Superman back in the dark mirror metal world, showing he survived. So they're saying that rebirth isn't really rebirth. It's actually just another universe that Dr. Manhattan made, reintroducing Hope. And wonderful. I'm pretty sure it's going to come down to that.
Oh, Lordy.
Okay. Well, I will say, though, when the New 52 came out, I didn't mind reading the Action Comics with Superman in it. Looking at Clark just getting started before he was with the Daily Bugle and all that kind of stuff, I didn't mind it. Now, I didn't continue reading it, so I don't know where it went. But the initial stuff didn't bug me so much. I thought it was kind of interesting, and the art was really good. Yeah, I don't know why they can't get away from this multiverse thing and having so many copies of this and that, and yeah, it convolutes things, guys. They need to take a break, and they need to have a run of time where just one world and the stories in it are being told. I think they get away from this convolution. That would be my opinion. What do you think, DeWolf? No opinion.
I think the main reason they can't do that, even though they've tried many times to deconvolute the problem, is that symbol right there on Superman's chest. That's a huge moneymaker for them, just the symbol.
Mm-hmm.
So what they want to do is they want to have multiple versions of it. They want to have this kind of Superman. It's all about selling stuff. It's all about merch. That's where they make their money. So you have that with Batman. You have that with Superman. You have that with pretty much every one of their main people. They have multiple different versions of it because now they can sell you multiple different versions of effectively the same thing, just with tweaks. It's purely a business decision. It's not about creating, good comic books or any kind of art form. It's purely a business decision. That's why they do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get the business side of it, but the continuity should be part of your thinking as well. And
Yep.
the fact that we have this Superman here, and then we have the Bendis's Superman, which is basically it looks like he's getting divorced, and he's this unbelievable, weak and pathetic whining thing. It's like, oh, Bendis, don't even get me started about Bendis. Oh, that hurts my hair.
But here's the thing: the Bendis run of Superman acts like the 52 version of Superman, and this Superman is acting like the pre-Superman, pre-52 Superman, which is kind of weird. It's like they switch personalities around.
Well, there are
There could be something to that.
Well, there are rumors running around that DC is not happy with the performance of Bendis, so maybe they're looking at a way to backdoor what Bendis had done. What do you guys think about that?
Ooh, I haven't heard any of this. Tell us.
Well, no, there's rumors that have come out about DC not being very happy with the numbers around Bendis' sales because they're really bad. He's not made them anywhere near the money that they had expected. And of course, if anybody had bothered to pay any attention, Bendis is not going to make you any money because he is controversial and he's well hated within the actual comic book fandom. So I don't know what they were thinking, but they did it, and they brought him over, and they've let him do what he wants, and they're losing money like crazy on Superman, one of their huge titles. So maybe what they're doing here is they're trying to backdoor the nonsense that Bendis has done. Maybe there's a contract, and they're afraid to get rid of Bendis because it makes it look like they made a mistake. I don't know. I'm guessing this is complete speculation on my part. But maybe by trying to bring in a more Superman-like Superman from something else is a way to counteract against this absolutely horrendous Superman that Bendis is creating. I mean, my goodness, Bendis really deserves a stiff kick straight up the middle of his legs.
Here's what's crazy is how we were just talking about how they always bring characters back and they do this stuff. The one that they've never really brought back is Silver Age Superman. They killed him and he's been dead he's been gone. They did the what was the book? Whatever Happened to Man of Tomorrow or whatever it was called. And I don't think they've ever really touched him again. That was it. He was done, and they moved on to the new styles of Superman that have changed progressively different ways over the years. If you're going to try and do a reboot of Superman, I think they should, if they were really serious about it, they should touch that. They should touch that version of him and maybe even bring him back for a little while.
Is that the one with the silver hair on the side of his head, sort of? Like, is it Reed
No, I think that's Golden Age.
Yeah, that's Golden Age Superman.
Yeah.
Silver Superman was the really ridiculous one who was overpowered, like stupid overpowered. He could basically just do anything you needed to.
Okay.
And that's why they got rid of him, because he was just too much. Like there was no believable way to beat him. So, but I think if they're going to try to, do reboots of Superman every other year, it seems like, they might as well go with him, might as well bring him in, and he's, to a lot of people, even to this day, he's kind of what people think of when they think of Superman is this ridiculously powerful version.
That really shines a light on the real problem with Superman. His power level is extremely inconsistent and varies from writer to writer. I remember one of the issues of the new 52 Superman. He was, I believe, what do we call it? Bench pressing the weight of the world, like 3 times the weight of the world or something for 3 days straight just to get a drop of sweat. That was in one of the issues of New 52. You don't believe me? You can look that up, I swear to God. And I thought that was just ridiculous. For one, why is Superman bench pressing? Wow, why can't I say that? Why is he bench pressing for 3 days straight when he's got way more productive things to do? And why did they make him that powerful in strength? That's just silly. It's just like he's one punch man levels of strong at that point, isn't he? It's silliness.
Sure.
Yeah, he flicks and it should blow the super villain away. That's if he's doing that much power. Kinda
You
neat.
can't,
Yeah.
you can't make a guy that strong. It's just silly.
Well, I guess we can all agree that Superman is a hero in crisis. I couldn't resist. Um, uh,
You say that and not me?
Don't
I
don't
did.
give Warner Brothers a title for their next movie,
Oh
Superman
no.
in Crisis.
I do apologize to Wolf for taking your dad joke from you. But Sierra Whiskey over here says, see my new avatar? I've had stickers made with them. Look out for Raccoon Riot. We are. It's going to be really exciting. Paul Hassett says that I would be there for a Trek episode. Do it. Maybe we should do a Star Trek episode. Take a minute to, research the stuff and suffer through some of those episodes and come in here and really dissect why Star Trek Discovery is so horrible. Because I've seen a few episodes. I don't think you guys have seen that many as I have, and I would be happy to do that. Maybe we should. But anyway, we've had interesting conversations here today, guys. We had a good conversation with Jon Malin. We had a good conversation with James, who came on and talked about his agenda. That was really great. Thank you very much, Todd, for inviting him over. And we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up here today. And what I want to do is just go down the line and let each of you tell where people can find you and make any kind of closing comments you would like. So, Booster, go ahead and start us off, man.
Yeah, you can subscribe to my channel if you like. Just that awesome. I'm crawling up there. I'm going up in the world, lads. I'm gonna be hitting that 1 million soon, I reckon.
Yeah, so do I.
Of course, I have Twitter with King Booster Boy BOI. I don't think I'm gonna hit 1 million followers with that, but we'll see.
All right, rock on. How about you, DeWolf?
Oh, you can always find me behind Chester pulling the strings,
Mhm.
basically, right here. And I do want to say one thing about what's going on here. It sort of touches on the whole Comicsgate movement, news, and things that are happening, including what built up to the information for Ethan's live streams yesterday, and that is our very own Zack Snyder. We see you in the chat. And you're here with us. And you know what? The important thing is you're here with us. You're here with us every week for several weeks now. You're listening in and you're engaging. And sometimes that engagement, it may push the boundaries of what we believe FanSpeak itself, wants to have to portray, right? And certain rules and regs, some of those because of children and whatnot. So we just have set down those things. But you are indeed with us, and you are listening. And we just want to go ahead and let everyone know that that's important to us. So keep stopping in, every single one of you, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
You know what? When I launch my own channel, he could be my head moderator. I think he's bloody hilarious.
Yeah, no, Zach would be a good moderator for you, Booster. That is true.
I'm sure he's very fair and balanced.
Yes, and just to let you guys know, Tank fell out because he's having internet trouble. But you can find Tank on his own channel, Tank Ferret, on Twitter and Facebook as well. And of course, Tank and I are going to be, and Todd, I believe, are going to be jumping over to. I'm not sure if it's John Dillard's or if it's Manny's. I'll have to go check. But Good Doug Press. But we are having the Gatekeepers. Party and opening today, so all of you please come over there and join us. We're going to be talking about the Indiegogo project that we are all involved with, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely come and check us out with that. And it's too bad Tank dropped out. But Todd, yeah, go ahead and tell people where they can find you, man.
You can find me on Twitter at @MarooneyTodd, and you can subscribe to my channel, which I've been linking in the chat, so that should be easy enough to find, and I'll do it one more time.
Awesome. Thank you. And Thundaro, sir, please let us know where we can find you.
Well, you can obviously find me right here. I will be here for pretty much every FanSpeak that I can make, but you can also find me on Twitter. Mr. Thundaro is the name. And that's pretty much all I've got for now.
Sweet. Excellent. And of course, I thank you all for coming over here today. We really appreciate it, guys. We're growing every day. We're getting a lot of interaction for you guys in the chat. It's really cool. And we're having an incredible amount of fun. And that's the whole point of being here. But definitely check us out. We have our FanSpeak here, usually every Friday, 8 p.m. Today is a little bit different. But we also have our our Tuesday show, 8 p.m., which is our Bugbear's Basement, where we talk about stuff. And Denali is going to tell you exactly what comic we will be doing then. And but yeah, check us out for all our shows. Check out our links. Be part of what we're doing. Thank you very, very much. And to close out the show, please, Denali Lama, take us out.
Sure. So for Tuesday topic, Hope Fire has chosen the topic. It's going to be New Teen Titans, Starfire, Apart Hen number 1 and 2. So that storyline involving Starfire is what we're going to read. You can always catch me as well at Denali 101, where I'm just helping the community and retweeting stuff. And if you want good vibe feelings and musing, you can always subscribe to my other Twitter account at Denali Lama, where I'm just posting positivity, once a day. So just to give you that one positivity kick, if you're interested. Otherwise, catch me.
Sickeningly positive.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Otherwise, you can catch me on FanSpeak group, where I'm posting up the news that we'll be talking about on the show. And I'm always here to help and answer any question as best I can. And that's it for today. As always, your perception shapes your reality. So always make it a positive and good one.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys. Later.
Aloha.